Head to Safeway this week and enjoy these amazing deals. Clip coupons from the weekly mailer or download them from the Safeway app to breeze through checkout. Get Overjoyed Boutique Dozen Roses for $24.99. Hand-dipped Belgian chocolate-covered strawberries, 4 to 18 counts, start at $7.99 per package. USDA Choice Boneless Beef Top Sirloin Steak Value Pack or Boneless Beef Tri-Tip Roast Untrimmed Twin Pack, just $5.99 per pound member price. Visit Safeway.com for more details. See you in the aisles.
Welcome to the Going to Killing City podcast, a historical look at murder in Kansas City. Here are your hosts, Jamie Green and Alex Greenwood.
Welcome back. A special episode. We worked so hard for you people. We said we weren't going to be around for 3 months. We needed a break. But Alex, we have an update. No, we still don't have Robert Stack's voice to tell us that there's an update.
Update.
Exactly. But we wanted to delve in because we talked about the Tylenol killer. This was the special episode that we did live up at Buffalo State Pizza. And Netflix, real quick. If you haven't watched the Netflix series and you want to watch the Netflix series and you don't want us two smos to ruin any of the things that's going to happen, this is your chance to pause this episode and then come back. Don't leave. But come back and then. But we're gonna talk about it because Alex and I both watched this 3-parter, and we have some thoughts. So who wants to delve in first?
Oh, I think you go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, the things that I liked. I'm glad we talked about Raymond West, who, of course, our episode we really wanted to focus on that Raymond West was a Kansas Citian who was brutally murdered. Yeah. And I know in a court of law, you're innocent until proven guilty, but in the court of public opinion, or certainly my opinion, James W. Lewis killed Raymond West, and he's dead now, meaning James W. So he can't even sue me. Everything that we talk about, and we're going to put the episode again at the end of this one so you can hear it. He was guilty of sin, and the Kansas City Police Department screwed this up royally. So if nothing else, I was appreciative that they talked about Raymond West. We tried really hard not to be gruesome in that episode, partly because I don't think we like to lean into gruesome anyway, but also people were eating pizza and trying to enjoy a nice dinner.
That's right. I forgot. That's true.
But Netflix had no problem, man. They just went ahead and showed the crime scene photos up in the attic. It was terrible. So that was the one thing I thought. I felt like they did a pretty good job of setting James W. Lewis's background, although it was much worse. I know that they had time constraints. But he was a person who had done terrible things his entire life. It just wasn't this one case. It just wasn't him writing a extortion letter. It just wasn't murdering Raymond West. He had a long, fraud, you name it. He had done it. And rape, which they did talk about. And that poor lady who's so terrified that she couldn't even testify. So I like that. Now, the things I did not appreciate as much, I really felt, everybody has a point of view. I have a point of view. You have a point of view. We all have points of view. It was really evident to me, and I'd love to get your take here in a second. The people who wrote this and produced it were not a fan of the Tylenol Corporation at all.
Yeah.
And they really felt like they were bending over backwards to insinuate that Tylenol was possibly responsible for this, but they offered zero evidence of this. And then the last thing I will say, my heart bleeds for anybody whose family members are murdered. Yeah. I certainly feel horrible for everybody, but it's impossible when you're that close to a case to be impartial. And the daughter that was part of this, that was making huge leaps and talking about how, she's been working on this full time for 20 years and stuff. There's just no way you can be objective on something like that. It reminded me a lot of Martin Luther King's Jr., his children, who, not all of them, but some of them were absolutely certain that James Earl Ray had not murdered their father. Um, and I think it's just because it's so hard to accept something this awful could happen for such a
Right.
ridiculous reason. And I'm wondering if that's what this, like I said, my heart bleeds for her. I don't have a problem with her wanting to find out about her mom, talking about it, being an advocate. I felt from a standpoint of storytelling that the producer spent too much time on that. So those were my thoughts.
I thought it was padded in a lot of ways. They could have done this was 3 45 minutes or thereabouts episodes of this. I thought it was padded. I think, yeah, they did lean into a couple of things, like you said, the daughter, and yeah, you make an excellent point about MLK Jr.'s one or two of his kids who really believe that. Same thing with RFK Jr. I hate to bring the guy up, but he actually thinks Sirhan didn't do it, or he said that at one point, I believe. And I think too, there's a lot of people. Just in a broader thing, we're talking assassinations here, but the conspiracy theories, I think a lot of times it's just that people cannot accept the idea that bad things happen to good people, and it's not always this big cabal. It could truly be just a really worthless human being who took out a really great human being. There's this great song by Peter Gabriel called Family Snapshot, which is all about the point of view of an assassin who is nobody and he wants to be somebody, so he shoots the president. So there is that, but I don't mean to digress too far there, but you tripped my trigger when you said that, pardon the pun. So I think you're right about her. I also think Johnson & Johnson, far be it from me to defend a major pharmaceutical corporation, but this was one, I'm a public relations professional by day, a true crime podcaster by night, and Johnson & Johnson's, this whole response to this situation is gold standard PR-wise. Now, some people might say, well, PR, that doesn't mean anything, but I had to keep setting that aside as the more I kept hearing these seeing them dancing around this idea that there's some secret that Johnson & Johnson is hiding and it's out there. And then they asked the investigator, and he goes, I can't talk about that. And I'm like, then it has no freaking business being so prominent in this documentary. There are so many self-owns by this unforced errors, excuse me, that's what it is, unearned. Sorry, a little tired. There are so many unforced errors in here on the part of the documentarians. To your point, probably the best part of it really was the fact that they do shine the light a little bit on the murder here, the Kansas City person. And I think that did you see the Jinx?
I did not.
Documentary. Yeah. Well, the Jinx worked, well, not only because of how it ended, but the Jinx worked because the suspected murderer is just such a bizarre human being. And if you watch the Jinx, you'll be like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, James W. Lewis was a bizarre person. But I got to ask you this. Did you have a hard time taking your eyes off him when he was on screen?
Oh, he's intriguing from a psychopath kind of thing, right? I mean, even his teeth, it's weird. Like he was just a weird dude.
You noticed those teeth. I mean, it was like carved out of a pumpkin or something.
Yeah, he did. He was like, you know what it was like if they had put this in like a bad B movie and this was the crazy person. This was the Anthony Perkins of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, he's right out of Central Casting. It's Central Casting. Yeah. And he folks, if you're into this kind of thing, it's worth watching at least much of it just so you can see what an unusual person this guy was. The idea that the woman who he allegedly raped just was terrified of him and couldn't force herself to give any testimony. Therefore, he walks free. But then, the KCPD screws up the Miranda rights. So he walks. I mean, this guy had a charmed life as far as being just a total I had a little sympathy for him, of course, that his daughter died from
Mm-hmm.
some defective thing. And there is, sorry, again, these were spoilers, but there was some thought that perhaps since Johnson and Johnson manufactured this heart defect patch that went wrong on his baby girl, that maybe he felt like he wanted to get some payback. But I got to admit, when he comes on and he answers that, and he's just like, basically, there's a lot of ways to do this, but why would I do it that way? But I don't know. What did you think of that?
He lies so much that I don't know if he's ever telling the truth about anything. He could tell me that today is a cloudy day, and I'd be like, "Is it?" It's hard, and it's like some people that we know in the world right now. If you lie so often and
Yeah.
so consistently, and so many times where there is no need for a lie, it's
Right.
really, really hard to take. If this was a different individual that I was not aware of and not aware of his history. Yeah, that's a very effective thing that he said.
Yeah.
But do I believe him? No.
No.
I mean, anybody who has the ability to murder an old man and cut his body into pieces and then hoist it up into the attic and then lie about it and then put a note with his own business, address on the note. And he's one of those people to me. And I think we talked about this original episode, which stick around, people. We're going to cue it up. You're going to hear it right when it starts. We won't do all the other promo stuff, but he is just one of those people that is so morally bankrupt that he thinks he's a genius. He thinks he's smarter than everybody. He thinks, and then he does dumb shit. And at the end of the documentary, toward the end, when they caught him, and that was one of the things that I had said in the original one, was that he said that he mailed the letter 3 days earlier from when it was stamped. If he had
Right.
mailed the letter, and he said it of his own volition, they weren't pushing him toward it. It's on camera. You can see for yourself. He just matter of fact said he did it. And if that's the case, he knew about them beforehand. There was no internet in the early 80s. The only way you would have heard about this was the TV news or the newspaper, and there was no way it wasn't even out yet. So it's either a case of where he got caught, or he lies just to lie and got got for that. So I don't know. He's scared. He's a scary man. Like, there are people on this. I know we had joked about La Pistolera, and other people on this stuff. This is a guy that creeps me out. He just does. He's a creepy guy.
Yeah.
And he's never at fault for anything, Alex. The only thing he ever said, and it's just like, oh, I shouldn't have written that extortion letter. That was the one dumb. I was like, no, you did a lot of crap too. So anyway, so we wanted to revisit this because I'm sure a lot of you are going to watch it. I looked. It's number one.
Wow.
On Netflix right now. A lot of eyes on it. I was intrigued by this because of the Kansas City connection. I was also intrigued by this because, poor Raymond West survives the Plaza flood the year before, literally has to be in the second floor of his house, which later his body was found. Feels probably at the time, God, I'm a lucky son of a bitch. I survived that. And then I have this horrible, awful thing happen.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to unpack here about it. But we just, like I said, we have a lot of new listeners now. A lot of you probably did not hear that. So we wanted to kind of key it up for you. Watch the documentary. You're hearing us talk now, and then we're just going to delve right into the episode that was recorded live in front of a studio audience at Buffalo State Pizza right around Christmas time.
Yeah, it's the episode. It's around 2023, we might add, and it's called "A Killer Headache." That is the episode, and so as soon as we stop yakking here, it'll go right into the episode. You're going to trim it up, is that right, Jamie?
It's all going to be just none of the giveaways, none of that stuff. We're going to trim it all up. It's just going to be me telling the story and you responding to it.
Yeah. So there you go. I we'd love to know what you think. Don't forget, it's killingcitypod@gmail.com if you got it. And this is May 27th-ish or thereabouts when we're doing this. And just a reminder, if you signed up for our June 7th walking tour, you should have had your email with your ticket, and we're looking forward to seeing you all there. If this is in the future after that, well, we probably had a great time, but we're looking forward to seeing you all. listen, this thing though, Jamie, this walking tour, this is just a little sneak peek, along with things like the aforementioned Buffalo State Pizza thing we did, and we've gone to Scissor and Scotch. We have these local things. We want to start doing these things on the regular, and one way we can do that is if we can get a little skin in the game from a lot of you diehard listeners out there. So season 3, we're going to be offering some ways for you to become kind of an insider. We're going to think of some cool name for this, but Jamie and I are just getting through the day after the time. So, but we're going to create some tiers, and I don't mean tears of sadness or joy. I just mean some tiers, some levels where you can donate a very small amount. It's not even really a donation, because you're going to get something extra for it. You'll definitely get, I think, extra, or not extra. You'll get extra things, yes, but you'll get early access to a lot of content, and there may be a point. There may be when earlier shows begin to get put behind the old paywall. Don't know about that yet, but there's a point. Mark Maron does it. It's just, he keeps the more recent stuff out there, but you want to dig deep, you gotta pony up a little bit. We're not sure that's what we'll do, but we're open to suggestions as well. But what kind of things would you, as a diehard listener, expect for a few bucks a month to support the show?
Absolutely. And we'll still do once a month on the 15th freebie.
Oh, yeah.
This is on top of it. This is the icing on the cake. We're going to give you some more content, and we have some fun ideas for that too. So that's coming up. So, okay, we're going to just delve in. Yes, this was called A Killer Headache. I am always so subtle with my titles of episodes. It's just like...
And the drink, by the way, was the painkiller. By the way,
what you need, you're gonna need it with this one.
You really are. You're gonna have a real pain in your attic.
All right, here we are. Let's
Head to Safeway this week and enjoy these amazing deals. Clip coupons from the weekly mailer or download them from the Safeway app to breeze through checkout. Get Overjoyed Boutique Dozen Roses for $24.99. Hand-dipped Belgian chocolate-covered strawberries, 4 to 18 counts, start at $7.99 per package. USDA Choice Boneless Beef Top Sirloin Steak Value Pack or Boneless Beef Tri-Tip Roast Untrimmed Twin Pack, just $5.99 per pound member price. Visit Safeway.com for more details. See you in the aisles.
go.
Enjoy.
We are going back in time to the late 1970s.
Oh my.
Okay, here we go. Raymond M. West was a Kansas City man that was enjoying his retirement after years working as a delivery driver here in town. He was 72 years old in 1978 and lived close to Brush Creek in a one-story home at 4812 Campbell. Ray West liked to keep busy and was known to be friendly. One of the friends he made was a young girl who had Down syndrome. Tony Lewis liked to stand at the window of her father's home at 5723 Truce and wave at passerbys. One of the people that she waved at was Raymond West, who befriended the girl and her family. Her father, James W. Lewis, and his wife, Leanne, were tax accountants with their own firm, and soon they were Raymond's tax accountant, too. The relationship between the Lewis family and Raymond West would continue even after young Tony's life ended tragically during surgery for a congenital heart defect. She sadly died on the operating table. But the relationship, Alex, would soon take a tragic turn, including a horrible murder, and then a national health scare that still haunts people to this day. But before we get to all that, we need to take a step back. Okay, Raymond West was described by his neighbors as a quiet, gentle, robust man who was highly active. In an article in the Kansas City Times on August 17, 1978, neighbors told the Times reporter that the West homes was one of the homes in their neighborhood that was flooded by the 1977 Plaza flood. Now, for those of us who weren't in Kansas City at the time or not born yet, I assume you weren't born yet, Alex?
No, I was not born yet.
You're like, what, 28? The 1977 Plaza flood was a cataclysmic event. Over 16 inches of rain fell in a single night.
Crazy.
On September 12th, 1977.
Wow.
A total of 25 people lost their lives on that thing. I don't think a lot of Kansas Cityans know that.
Dude, I haven't lived here my whole life, so I had no idea this even happened.
Yeah, 25 people died. 77 of the 155 Plaza businesses were damaged that night, and it caused over $100 million worth of damage in 1977 dollars. It was huge. There's YouTube clips you can get on YouTube and look at. Obviously, you can read the Kansas City Star articles. It's unbelievable how much damage that was done in this storm.
Crazy.
among the damage that night was more than 6 feet of water in the home of Raymond West. Yes, 6 feet. According to the neighbors in that same Kansas City Times article, West's car was swept away by the flood.
Wow.
And the only reason he too was not swept away is because he grabbed a neighbor's rope and then shimmied up, which is pretty remarkable for a guy in his 70s, up 25 feet on that rope to his neighbor's second-story window to safety.
Wow.
He survived that perilous event, but in less than a year, he would not survive another one. All right. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's drink? Everybody good?
So, mine's good. Everybody
Okay,
good?
you good?
You good? You're good?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Okay. West was last seen by his neighbors on July 23rd, 1978. He was reported missing by his friend, Charles Banker, on July 25th. The next day, Banker went to check on West, and upon arriving at the front door of West's homes, he found a handwritten note, not in West's handwriting, stating that West had gone to the Lake of the Ozark to visit friends. That note was on Lewis & Lewis tax accountant's letterhead, as in James Lewis and his wife's. All right. Banker shared that note with the Kansas City Police Department.
Okay.
They did search West's home several days later, but did not discover anything. Yes, Alex.
No.
You're thinking.
I'm just trying to hold it all together.
Okay.
Here. This is a lot, but I'm hanging in there. I am.
Okay. So, after that, on Monday, August 14th, Banker and a friend decided they were going to search West's home on their own, and when they did, they made a gruesome discovery. I'm going to not really get into the gruesomeness of this because people are eating.
People are
it's not
trying to
good.
eat.
But it'll be in the show notes. You can read all the gory details if you want.
Show notes. Just check that.
Yeah, check out the show notes. It's my standard line. Okay. In the attic of that house, at Raymond West house, a body was discovered.
Okay.
Among the evidence also found at that home was a bloody rope, most likely used to hoist the body into the attic and then tie the body up. Kansas City police also found a fingerprint in that attic that was not West. In addition, in his bedroom, there were bloodstains on the floor. So apparently he'd been murdered, and whoever had murdered him had hoisted him up into the attic.
Wow.
Eventually, they had to do a lot. As you can imagine, 3 weeks up in an attic in Kansas City in the summer. His body was not in good shape. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
They had to actually do a hair sample to identify that it was indeed the homeowner, Raymond West.
Yikes.
So then a murder investigation obviously starts immediately.
I would think so.
As part of their homicide investigation, KCPD made a shocking discovery on the same day that West was reported missing by his friend. A man tried to cash a $5,000 check on Raymond West's account. That check was rejected by bank officials who felt that it was fraudulent. Who was that check made out to, you asked? You asked that?
I was getting ready. So who was it made out to?
It was made out to West's tax accountant, James W. Lewis.
Oh.
Yeah, When police questioned Lewis about the check, Lewis claimed that West had lent him the money, which put up a lot of red flags. Apparently, his friends, lovingly, but said he was kind of a tightwad. He did not just lend money. And $5,000 is a fair amount of money now, but you figure back in the mid-'70s, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Obviously, the police did not believe him. Lewis surrendered to the police on August 18th. Now, this is an important part, and we're going to have to get back to that shortly. On August 29th of that year, a Jackson County grand jury returned an indictment of capital murder. Okay. So I think it's important we talk about the evidence.
Yes.
And how does a mild-mannered tax accountant turn into a brutal quick killer? All right, we're going to talk about both of that in greater detail. Police discovered in a search of James Lewis's car the following items: 20 feet of a knotted white rope, which matched the rope utilized to lift the body up into the attic, utilizing a pulley, and also was used to bound the body.
Right.
In addition, Lewis's car also had a black attaché case with papers bearing West's name and a bundle of Raymond West checks in it. Couple this with the fake note on the door and James Lewis's handwriting. They actually had a handwriting expert that said that, yes, that's actually James Lewis's handwriting. That is not Raymond West that wrote this note.
Okay, yep. Okay.
The forged check, all of it, the evidence was pretty damning. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about James Lewis and how he got there. He had some very dark moments in his life. He was born in Memphis, Tennessee in 1946. He was the child of Theodore and Opal Wilson. In 1948, Theodore left Opal. Then months later, Opal deserted young James and his two older sisters in a transient hotel close to Joplin, Missouri.
Oh.
All right. Joplin officials granted custody of James Lewis to Floyd and Charlotte Lewis. According to family members, James Lewis had severe emotional problems, and his adoptive mother tried to give him back to the adoption agency.
Oh, yikes.
I mean, that's pretty bad. When James was just 12 years old, Lewis's adopted father died, and for the next several years, he lived alone with his mother, who was so terrified of him, she literally slept with a gun under her pillow at night. Not good.
No.
Eventually, Charlotte Lewis remarried. When James Lewis was 19, he apparently chased his mother with an axe and was charged with assaulting his stepfather. He had assaulted him so much, he broke several of this man's ribs.
Oh, my yikes. That's really...
Yeah.
Wow.
So he obviously has a violent streak.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right. Soon after, Lewis overdosed on 36 Anacin tablets and was committed to the Missouri State Mental Hospital with a diagnosis of catatonic schizophrenia.
I'm not laughing at that. He overdosed on Anacin.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, right. He wasn't really trying to kill himself.
I was going to say, he would have been better off just swallowing the bottle.
Right.
Because choking...
Yeah, totally.
Okay, I'm just saying.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is that he has a history of both mental illness issues and also he's very violent when he gets sick. So this makes a little bit more sense about why he would have murdered Raymond West.
Right, I gotcha.
Okay. The very next year, October 17, 1979,
Yeah.
Kansas City was shocked to read that the capital murder charge had been dismissed. Lewis had been scheduled to go to trial that very week, but Lewis's attorneys, Albert Reederer, who used to be the Jackson County prosecutor years later, and Russell Millen, in a pre-trial hearing, argued that the state's evidence was illegally gathered. Judge Gene R. Martin agreed with that argument and had the entire case dismissed. So, Alex, why was that ruling made?
I'm at a loss here.
I know this is going to shock you because apparently Kansas City Police Department failed to read Lewis's his Miranda rights.
Oh my, seriously?
And had no proper warrants.
That's crazy.
All the evidence, including Lewis's interrogation, the forged checks, the search of Lewis's car, all of it was inadmissible in court.
Wow.
Okay, for those of you that are just joining us, where we left the story,
Yes.
James Lewis's case was completely thrown out because the Kansas City Police Department did not read him his Miranda rights and did not get the proper warrants, which has sadly become a theme on this podcast over the months.
Yeah, we've run into these things.
So how did this happen?
Yeah.
All right. Apparently it was robbery detectives, not homicide detectives, that had brought Lewis in for questioning. Lewis was brought up to KCPD headquarters, which is just, about 10 blocks from here, up to the 11th floor. This is important. He was put briefly into a holding cell and then made to turn over his shoelaces, that being, of course, there was concern he might kill himself.
Unless they're licorice shoelaces.
Right. They could just eat them.
Well, people might fight over them.
A little later, he was brought down to the second floor. And then he was introduced to the homicide detectives. The robbery detectives failed to mention that Lewis had briefly been detained on the 11th floor. Why is this important? Because the law says that once you are detained, you must be read your Miranda rights immediately. All the incriminating information revealed before the reading of the Miranda rights is inadmissible. And as we talked about, this evidence was damning. The forged check, the note on the front door with it was actually his handwriting on it. And also his work letterhead on it. That's a crack job right there.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
The rope in the car, all of it. They can't use any of it. So James Lewis is a free man.
Jeez Louise.
All right. One of the homicide detectives on this case, David Barton, he was pretty unhappy about all of this. Not surprisingly. He was certain that Lewis was guilty, but he was about to get a second crack at James Lewis. There were reports of mail fraud in Kansas City, and the one thing all the victims of those crimes had in common, what was the one thing, Alex, that all those people would have in common?
Let me check.
They were all clients of Lewis and Lewis's tax accounting firm. What are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds of these things?
So the Lewis family, the husband and wife, have been stealing personal information from their clients and ordering credit cards in these individuals' names. Lewis was tailed by Detective Barton, where he was seen driving out into the country, out into a country road, stopping at a mailbox, taking all the stuff out of the mail, all the mail out of the mailbox, and then he took the entire mailbox out. It was not even a real mailbox, and put it in the trunk of his car and drove off. So apparently what he was doing was, this is 1970 still, he's writing fake addresses, there's no internet, there's no Waze, there's none of that.
So
he would make it fake. The mail guy was like, this looks close enough. Throw it in their credit cards and go. And then he would leave. In addition to that, also doing transferring the deeds to clients' homes. So these people that thought their own home, they owned it. Now he actually transferred to himself through a shell company. So Barton, Detective Barton, the homicide detective, had learned from his mistakes and of his colleagues' mistakes, actually, in the murder case of Raymond West. So he went to get a warrant for the arrest of James Lewis and his wife.
Yeah.
But both James and his wife, Leanne, had disappeared and would not be seen for years.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
All right.
This is something else. This is very serpentine. What's going on here?
It's going to get a lot wackier in about 3 seconds.
I'm all about wacky. Let's go.
All right, so in 1982, Detective David Barton sat down at his home to watch the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. Courage.
I almost said that.
The big story was the Tylenol poisoning case in Chicago.
Right.
Someone had laced Tylenol with cyanide, causing multiple deaths. As part of that story, Rather shared a security photograph from a Walgreens where one of the victims, a woman named Paula Prince, had bought a poisoned bottle of Tylenol. Behind her was a strange man in a lab coat with a beard. The Chicago police had identified that individual as a guy named Robert Richardson, but Barton knew him better. He said, quote, "That's him, that bastard, that's him." He shouted that at his daughter. James Lewis had grown a beard, but Barton instantly recognized him. He called a contact in the Chicago FBI office and was on a plane to Chicago almost immediately.
Okay, that's nuts.
Yeah. So, all right. For you young people, not me and Alex, for young people, the Tylenol poisoning, it shocked the nation. And before that, there were no safety mechanisms on your Tylenol box.
You know what's funny is because I'm a PR guy, and that's one of the classic examples we use in my business to talk about how to handle a crisis, the way Johnson & Johnson handled it. So when you said that, it perked me right up about that. That's amazing, though.
Yeah, it's terrible, too, because a total of 7 people died from this poisoning, including 3 people from a single family. It's horrible.
Yikes.
All right. As you said, Tylenol is manufactured back then and still by Johnson & Johnson.
That's right.
They did not have a tampering system. Nobody did back then.
Nobody did, yeah.
But they had to recall their entire line of Tylenol, which was a huge cost.
You know what? They didn't actually. I mean, I don't want to go off on a tangent here. They didn't have to do any of that, but they did it.
But
that's part of the reason their response is so gold standard.
All right. Has it been crazy enough, or you want to get crazier? Let's get a little crazier.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
All right. So on that same year, October 6, 1982, so just 10 days after the poisoning had hit, I think September 30th was when it happened.
Right.
They got a ransom note, Johnson & Johnson headquarters, and I'm going to read it verbatim.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It was handwritten too. "Gentlemen, as you can see, it's easy to place cyanide, both potassium and sodium, into capsules sitting on store shelves. And since the cyanide is inside the gelatin, it is easy to get buyers to swallow their bitter pill. Another beauty is that the cyanide operates quickly. It takes so very little, and there will be no time to take countermeasures. If you don't mind the publicity of these capsules, then do nothing. So far, I've spent less than $50, and it takes me less than 10 minutes per bottle. If you want to stop the killing, then wire $1 million to bank account number 84-49597 at Continental Illinois Bank in Chicago, Illinois." He's a sociopath.
This is freaking me out.
Yeah, it gets worse. Okay. By that point, the FBI had a Tylenol task force. They leapt into action. Now, first, this envelope that the ransom letter was mailed in, it was traced to the heir of the Miller Brewing fortune. Apparently, we should have had Miller beers.
Oh, my goodness.
No, we shouldn't have. What are we talking about?
I was going to say, really? I mean,
guy's name was Frederick Miller McCahey.
Only so much I'm going to do for the show.
Father McCahey was. Anyway, he was recently closed his travel agency and had a disgruntled former employee who was really pissed off that her last paycheck had bounced. Her name was supposedly Nancy Richardson, but she, of course, was really Leanne Lewis.
Of course.
A nationwide warrant was then issued for the arrest of James and Leanne Lewis.
It's freaking me out, man.
All right, so Leanne had stole more than just envelopes from her former employer. She also stole a bunch of blank airline tickets, and for you younger folks, including my son that's here tonight, back in 1982, you needed no ID to fly. You just got on a plane, man.
Yeah, just hop on.
Yep. So there was a lot of concern from the FBI that they were going to just leave the country. Like they were going to just bolt because they had all these vouchers.
Right.
All right. So as the manhunt continued, the Chicago Tribune then received a letter from the fugitives on October 27th. He likes to write letters, Alex.
Oh, well.
October 27, 1982, so same month. In it, he claims that they were not the Tylenol killers. In fact, they'd never kill anybody. It was signed Robert Richardson. All right, clearly Lewis enjoyed toying with the FBI and police officials, so he wrote another letter.
Right.
Why not? Get the hat trick. This time to our own Kansas City Star. He entitled it A Moral Dilemma, and it was 7 pages long. In it, he encouraged KCPD to reopen the Raymond West case, and this time he signed it with his real name, James Lewis. All right. Are you still with me?
I'm with you. This is deep, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the pizza here.
Yeah, the pizza's good. Once again, thanks to Philippe.
Thank you, Philippe.
It turns out the Lewises were actually in New York City, but it wasn't until December of 1982, 2 months later, Lewis was spotted by a librarian reading newspapers. The FBI had speculated, it was part of their, where they do like, who is this person, what would they do, that kind of thing.
Right.
That he would be monitoring all these cases closely. So they had alerted all the libraries around the country to be on the lookout, like somebody who's spending a lot of time looking at newspapers around the country. It's pre-internet.
Right.
So she's smart. She calls the New York Police Department. They swoop in, and he's arrested. His wife then negotiated to turn herself in and did so with the Chicago police, so she was not even there.
Oh.
All right. I know. Stay with me, people. We're getting there. While waiting for the Tylenol murder case to start, Lewis was tried right here in Kansas City, man, for mail fraud, and he was convicted. So they got him for that.
They read his rights that time.
Yep, they did. And then he was convicted for the Tylenol extortion case and sentenced to an additional 10 years. Now, this is a part... This case is so crazy. We could make this a 5-parter, but we're not going to. The Chicago Tribune did a great 6-part series on this. It's last year when it was the 40th anniversary, or whatever it would have been, 45-year anniversary of it. Please read it if you're interested. They go into all this. This guy's such a nutball.
Yeah.
But he's one of those people. He thinks he's a genius. He thinks he's smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
He's so much smarter than the cops and the FBI and everybody.
He's a Wile E. Coyote, super genius type.
All right. So while he's in prison, because he's so smart, he offered to help the FBI solve the actual poisoning case.
Yeah.
He loved the attention and even drew a diagram on how cyanide could possibly be placed in capsules without detection. But prosecutors never felt there was quite enough to try him. Okay, so here's the why did he do it?
Yeah.
Why would he put, after going from just killing poor Raymond West, why would he take on Tylenol and kill people that he didn't even know?
You got me.
All right, so here's the working theory. His daughter, that Tony, that poor girl that died on the operating table while trying to fix a congenital heart defect, surgeons in that operating room utilized faulty sutures that were manufactured by, you guessed it,
Johnson
& Johnson. In this theory, the Lewis family blamed Johnson & Johnson for the death of their daughter, and this was payback.
Jeez.
Okay. After 13 years in prison, James Lewis was released. He moved to Massachusetts to rejoin his wife, Leanne. She was never charged for anything except for using a fake Social Security card. I don't know why. She seemed to be in on a lot of this.
Yeah.
So you'd think he'd smarten up, but he kind of did an OJ, gets out and stuff. So in 2003, he is arrested for the attempted rape of a woman who lived in his same building as the Lewises. He could not make bail, so he spent 3 years in jail awaiting trial. But he escapes yet again because the woman is so terrified of him, she refuses to testify against him.
Jeez.
So
Wow.
he gets released yet again.
Wow.
Speaking of OJ, remember when OJ wrote the book, If I Did It?
If I Did It, right, yeah.
Which he detailed if he had killed his ex-wife. And
He should have underlined that, by the way.
right? How did he do it? This is a terrible idea. You work in PR, Alex. This is a terrible idea.
It really is.
And he was roasted for it. Well, James Lewis apparently didn't get the message that people who are believed to be murdering people should not be publishing books about it. In 2010, he self-published a book, Poison, The Doctor's Dilemma. The book is all about his neighbors being randomly poisoned. Seriously, I did not make this up. It's on Amazon, but please do not buy it.
Don't buy this guy's book.
Of course, in his bio, he talks about his great life and how smart he is and all this stuff. He didn't talk about, hey, I killed some people and I was in jail for a bunch of years. He conveniently left that out.
Yeah.
All right, so James West lived the last years of his life a free man. He died just this summer, July of 2023, at the age of 76. So why wasn't he retried then for the murder of Raymond West? Only some of that information, they could only use some of that in the trial. Some other stuff later they could use.
I mean, there's no statute of limitations on Miranda exclusions, right? We're looking at, there's an attorney in the audience. She's saying,
there you go. That's why I married her. Okay. So the most damning piece of evidence was that pulley that was in Raymond West's attic that was utilized to lift West's lifeless body into that attic.
Yeah.
James Lewis's fingerprint was discovered on that pulley, which placed him up in that attic. He had to be up in the attic stuff. I mean, that's really damning. So the new prosecutor was thinking that, this might be the time to actually try him. So,
try him.
Alex, you're a smart man. We've been through a lot of these. What happened to the evidence?
It was put in a shoebox that got really soggy in the flood, right? No.
Yeah, we should make this a drinking game. The Kansas City Police Department lost all the evidence yet again.
I was trying to let him off the hook with
including the pulley with James Lewis's fingerprint on it. To this day, no one has been tried for the murders of Raymond West or the 7 individuals who were murdered by tainted Tylenol. James Lewis died a free man, and his wife Leanne is still alive and free to this day. So the next time you try to open up a bottle of Tylenol with its tamper-proof bottle, you now know the Kansas City connection to that awful crime. And that's today's episode.
Are high-interest credit cards or personal loans weighing you down? Unlock gives homeowners a smarter option. With a home equity agreement, you can tap into your home's equity for cash today. There are no monthly payments. Here's how it works. Unlock provides funds upfront and in exchange, shares in a portion of your home's future value. That means you keep control with the flexibility to use your equity your way. Pay off bills, invest in home improvements, or set aside savings for peace of mind. For thousands of homeowners, Unlock has been the key to moving forward without the pressure of another payment. Put your equity to work for you. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.